Welcome to the Managing Columns and Rows video. Let's open our spreadsheet and get started with the lesson. I'd like to begin by showing you where to locate your tools. Let's start by going to the Home tab and then the Cells group. Here you will find the Insert, Delete, and Format command buttons. These functions are directly related to the columns, rows, and cells. What I would like to do first is hide columns B through H. So let's begin by selecting column B and dragging it over to H. Now, in order to hide the columns, I will simply go up to Format and I can select Hide from here. Now here I would choose Hide Row or Hide Column. In this case, it would be Hide Columns. So I'm going to go ahead and say Hide Columns. Now I could have executed the same move with my right click, and I'll show you how to do this. I will unhide the same columns that I just hid with my right click. Now how can you tell if columns are hidden on your worksheet? You can look at the headings, and as you can see, letters are skipped. So that's telling me something is hidden within this group. So in order to unhide it, you will simply select A through J, and this is where your hidden columns is. Now I'm going to right click this time, and you can see the unhide command. You also see the hide command. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and simply say unhide. Okay? Now if I wanted to hide or unhide my rows, I can select columns 6 through 8, for instance. I can right click and I can say hide, or I can go up to Format Cells and I can say hide. In this case, it would be hide rows versus hide columns. So I'm going to go ahead and hide it. And again, as you can see, if you're looking at the headings 5 through 10, something is hidden in there, and I know that because my numbers are skipped. I'm going to go ahead and select 5 through 10. This time I'm going to say right click, and I'm just going to go ahead and unhide those rows. Okay, so now I would like to look at my options for sizing my rows and columns. I'm going to go ahead and size columns B through H because my information is all scrunched up. I'm going to use the AutoFit command to do this though. So let's go ahead and select B through H, and I'm going to go up to Format, and this time I'm going to say AutoFit column width. And it actually expands based on the largest amount of text within that column. Okay, so now let's scroll over and look at column I. I don't like the way that it's looking because my text is spilling over. Let's see what would happen if I was to auto fit this selection. I'm going to go ahead and select column I. I'm going to go Format. Then I'm going to say auto fit column again. Now I don't like this because although all my text is in one cell, it's still a little large. So this time I'm going to go ahead and manually drag my size over. In order to do this, you will get the column that you want to size. You want to make sure that you are in this 4-arrow mode. You want to hold down your left click, and you just want to go ahead and drag it. Okay, so as you can see, my text is spilling over again. Now my information is in I4. My cell address confirms my location, although it's spilling over into J, K, L, and M, so on and so forth. So what can I do in this case? Well, let's try to wrap the text and see what that looks like. Now this is the wrap text feature that we learned in the previous lesson. Let's see if we can apply that information. Okay, now that did work, but I'm not crazy about the way it looks. But let's go ahead and do that to the rest of our cells, and let's just see what we can work with from there. I'm going to go ahead and drag this information down, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap the text. Okay? So what I can do now is to resize the row to make this fit. I'm going to start with row 4. And again, I'm going to get in the 4-arrow mode, and I'm just going to drag it down. Okay, well that looks much better. Now I need to determine what size I am using so I can apply it to the rest of my rows. How can I do that? Well, I can select the entire row. I can go up to Format and Row Height, and this will tell me the height of my row, and it looks like it's a 30. So I can apply that to the rest of my rows. Another thing I want to show you is that you can determine the height of the row by simply selecting it, getting in the 4-arrow mode, just holding down the left click, and this will tell you where you are. Okay? So since I know that I am at a 30, I'm going to go ahead and select 5 through 15. I'm going to go up to Format Rows. I'm going to say Row Height. I'm going to simply set it at a 30. Okay, and that fits. Everything looks nice and smooth and in line, so I like the way that looks. Another thing that I would like to share, if you need to insert or roll or a column, to insert a column in front of column E, you will select column E, and then you will simply go up and say Insert. Now it's going to always insert to the left, so keep that in mind before you make your selection. Let's go ahead and delete this column. You can just say delete and it'll remove it, or you could have went delete. Okay, and same thing with the row. If you want to select the row, it's going to always insert it on top. You can simply say insert, or you can get your drop down and say insert sheet rows. I'm just going to go ahead and say insert. Okay, and then to delete the row that you just inserted, just go ahead and say delete. Now you can also insert a cell. You can do that by inserting your mouse where you would like the cell to be, and then just go ahead and say insert and say insert cells. And this is asking you, do you want to shift the cells down or do you want to shift it to the right? I'm going to go ahead and say shift the cells down. Okay, all right, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete that cell to put my information back. Now everything is right where I want it to be. Another thing that I do want to share, that if you do not want to see the grid lines in your worksheet while you're working, you can simply hide those by going up to View and removing the grid lines. Okay, and as you can see, those grids are gone and no longer visible. You can also hide your headings if you don't want to see them while you're working by simply deselecting headings. So now your grid lines and your headings are no longer visible. Congrats! You have completed this video and you are doing an awesome job. Be sure to save your work and then go ahead and take a break. You certainly do deserve it.